Right, good morning everybody. So I'm going to carry on. I've brought in a few still life objects and some of you brought your objects in as well, which is great. I want to carry on with this sort of small project sort of, idea for this month. So last week I was suggesting we did quick drawings and then perhaps swap objects, and a lot of you did really well with that. That's quite nice. So if you want to do more of that, you're very welcome to do that if anybody missed out on that. And basically what we were doing was starting with like a 5-minute drawing, a couple of 5-minute drawings, then perhaps a 10-minute drawing, and just seeing what we could do with the different lengths of time really. Most of them are quick line drawings, so that was one I did as a demo in my other class actually, just as a little robot. I was thinking today it might be quite good to move on to using tonal values, so light and dark. So you could use a drawing medium, so I was thinking I'd use acrylic, but I'm just not that set up. So I'm going to just use a bit of pastel and pastel pencil, just because it's nice and quick and easy. But you could do an acrylic. I should have a little bit of an example somewhere. No, I won't have it at the moment. I'll show you that later. So I've been trying myself this month to do some either quick drawings or quick paintings, and doing one piece per day. This was actually one from quite a while ago, but this would be an example of a tonal drawing where I was just using felt pens and just going in with light felt pens and medium and then a very dark. So it's a way of just working out a composition. So I do a lot of work in sketchbooks, as you know. So I've brought the sketchbooks that were mostly I've worked in last year. Some were started the year before, but there are little sketchbooks there. So that's another thing just to try and promote and encourage is use of sketchbooks and developing ideas that way. What I'll do today is I'll just develop this one a little bit. So I'm going to use the pastels, and it's really just trying to add some tone. So pastel can be quite a nice medium. So these are the short pastels. I'm just going to concentrate on using light and dark. I'm not going to worry about colours. So just trying to get some senses of light and dark. Just blending with my fingers. There's a little bit of shadow here, and that bit's a little bit lighter there, a little bit darker over there. Tiny bit there is darker, so it's like a dark, I'd use like a dark grey for that rather than a black, because it's not quite as dark as black. The pencils are a bit easier to get a little bit more definition in small areas. And then on this corner it's quite light, so I need to create that by going a little bit darker around there. In some ways it might be better to start from the top down, but for some reason I've started nice and a little bit tone on that side. One thing that's really useful when you're drawing from observation is, and you're not quite sure if one bit's lighter or darker, is to squint. Just sort of really screw your eyes up. And that way you don't notice the details quite so much. And I'm thinking that because of these sort of eye shapes. I'm thinking, are they darker in the background or lighter? And if I screw my eyes up, yeah, they're definitely lighter here, but on this side, there's not too much difference. So I could perhaps put that tone over there. And then there's just a little bit of a shadow, darker shadow thrown there that just brings out the shape. Like that. And there might even be a tiny bit of, in fact there's a little bit of light at the bottom. Darken that a tiny bit. So pastels I find a nice medium for blocking in bigger areas quite quickly. You can work that with my fingers, or if you've got one of those paper blenders, that might be. I don't know if that'll show. I don't think it's quite showing it up really. Just want something a little bit lighter just in there. Perhaps go a little this bit is quite dark, so quite dark. Perhaps even darker still. So kind of darker grey. So you can see it kind of gradually fleshes it out. You get a sense of volume. The other thing that's important is to try and get some, if there are any cast shadows, which is down here a little bit of a cast shadow. And that helps to establish it in the space. So quite a nice thing to work into. Okay, so yeah, if anybody wants to use any of these, got pastels, a few pastel pencils. There's also drawing paper if you just want a bit of drawing paper, if you haven't got sketchbooks. Fancy you can go at that.
So is it best to draw the object first?
With lines?
Yeah.
You could try it either way. So this I have drawn. Well, I thought I've just kind of made use of it. I'd say it depends how complicated the subject is. Sometimes a complicated subject, it's easier to get some lines down first. The little sketch I showed you, well actually this is two different ones though. So that one is like a line drawing that I then started to put some tones in, whereas the other one, I just went straight in with, I think I probably went in with a lighter shape, so I might have drawn a few lines first, roof line, and then toned either side of it. But I didn't particularly try and create lines with that. Sometimes it's quite an interesting exercise just to go with lighter tones and darker tones and just see where you can get the edges to meet. So it's more difficult, but it's it can be quite a good exercise. Try it both ways, see what you think. And I quite frequently do if I can. Sometimes I don't always like to sort of have. I sometimes feel like with if I'm just drawing everything out in lines, it then feels like I'm then just colouring in. Yeah, and so it's just to move away from that a little bit. So sometimes I'll, get a big paint mark and block a big area, and then I might wipe some of that away or paint some other colour over the top of that. So it's like I'm working one edge up to another edge. So that can be a quite interesting way to work. And you can do, it's quite nice to just experiment with black and white or greys and white, things like that. Or it could be, if you want to use a colour, just use a colour, lighter and darker versions of a colour. But don't worry about trying to mimic local colours at this stage. It's just trying to get something down in lights and darks. So that's the exercise today, if you fancy trying that.
So drawn that.